This morning we're going to look at Revelation 17 and 18, and we're going to see the fall pretty much of evil's empire. Satan, this is showing the future event where no more evil will reign on planet Earth. There's some really neat stuff here. And of course this is John talking, and he says, "Then one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls came and talked with me, saying to me, Come, I will show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters, with whom the kings of the earth committed fornication, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication." All right, so John is seeing one of the 7 angels who had the 7 bowls. We talked last time we met, the 7 bowls were bowl judgments, and it was when plagues was falling on the Antichrist empire. It's just like, almost like during the time of Moses when he was getting his people out of Egypt. We're going to see that's going to play out again on the Antichrist empire. But this angel tells him, "I'm going to show you the judgment of the great harlot who sits on many waters." Now as we go, it's going to explain what this is, but I'm going to go ahead and tell you so you'll understand it. The great harlot here, this woman is symbolic of the Antichrist empire, this grand empire. He's going to rise up, and it's going to pretty much control the whole world. And it's considered a harlot because a harlot, that's a wicked woman. That's an evil woman who's drawing men to her and causing men to commit fornication. And in this context, you're committing fornication to God. And in the earthly context, fornication is when you're having sex before you're married, and you're ultimately cheating on your future husband or wife is what's going on there. And it is a picture of us going to another god and not having a relationship with God the Father. And we have seen the Antichrist and his empire that he is rising up, it's completely against God. It is like a harlot who is drawing the whole world away from God. Instead of, he's saying, don't have a relationship with God, he's your enemy. You have a relationship with, well, pretty much anything else. And that's what that is. That's what that's talking about there. This empire is like a harlot who's leading men astray, leading the whole world astray. But instead of from their husband or wife, it's leading you astray from having a relationship with God. The sitting on many waters here, that is actually people. This empire is sitting on top of people, nations, and the people's what it's talking about. It's pulling people away. We'll see that in a minute. And we see the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her fornication. If you're drunk, that means you can't control your behaviors anymore. You're just doing whatever, and it's showing the whole world is drunk with this type of thinking. The whole world is going against God, and it's going to be a crazy time during that tribulation period. If you accept God, you're marked for death pretty much. As soon as you accept God, they're coming to get you because the whole world's so against Him. All right. So the angel carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, which was full of names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. Alright, so now this angel is showing him this harlot again, but there's a lot of symbolism right here. He's seeing this woman sitting on a scarlet beast. Now scarlet is the color of red. We've seen all in Revelations, the fiery red dragon. It's a picture of Satan. Now this beast is actually talking about the Antichrist, but we have seen earlier in Revelation, Satan gives the Antichrist his power. So this woman, this empire is really what it is, a grand city that is really leading the whole world. Everybody's doing what this city is sending out. It's built on Satan and built on the Antichrist is what it's doing. They're the ones leading the charge here. And we've learned the half-year mark of the tribulation period, the Antichrist is going to put that image of himself in God's temple and tell the whole world to worship him. And if they don't, he's killing them. That's what that's talking about. This whole false religion is built on him, and it's ultimately coming from Satan. All right. It says, but she's full of names of blasphemy. That means names that goes against God, having 7 heads and 10 horns. We'll get into what that is here in just a minute. The woman was arrayed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, having in her hand a golden cup full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. All right, so this woman, remember, massive city, okay? It's arrayed in purple and scarlet. Purple in the Bible is the color of royalty. It shows you're a king. So what that is showing here is there that this city's the ruler. This is where everybody's looking. And then it's arrayed, adorned with gold, precious stones, pearls. It's rich. This city's got a lot of money. Everybody's looking at this city, and we're fixing to see the whole world is getting rich from this city. They're trading with the Antichrist kingdom is what's going on. But we see, even though it's wealthy, it's full of abominations and the filthiness of her fornication. Again, this is a city that is completely against God. They're actually killing Christians there left and right. The whole world's doing it, but this is the epicenter of it happening here. Verse 5 says, "And on her forehead a name was written, Mystery, Babylon the Great, the mother of harlots and the abominations of the earth. I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the saints and with the blood of the martyrs of Jesus, and when I saw her, I marveled with great amazement." All right, so now this woman's name is Babylon the Great. Babylon in the Old Testament was an evil kingdom. It was a kingdom against God, and it really comes from the Tower of Babel. We're going to talk about that in just a minute. But this Babylon is really this evil, it's Satan's evil empire. It's really been in the world since the rebellion, since he's been here. It's Babylon is ultimately that belief where you don't need God and you can worship anything else, or it's about mankind, which we'll see here in a minute. So he calls this city Babylon the Great. Now I don't believe that's going to be the name of the city. This is going to be, we've already talked about it, we've looked at the scriptures, it's going to be like another Roman Empire that's going to come up in Europe. It's not America, it's going to be something in the European nations, a coalition over there, and it's going to be like another Roman Empire rise up. Now it's going to have whatever the Antichrist names it, or what it may be called, Roman Empire again, I don't know. But Babylon the Great is just symbolic of Babylon is just an evil nation, and this is kind of going along with it. We see again, she's the mother of harlots. This city is just sending people out, going against God. It's an abomination of the earth. Again, it's an abomination to go against God. And then we see in 6, she was drunk with the blood of the saints and the blood of the martyrs. We've already seen that. We've talked about it. There's going to be a huge, just great swarm of persecution against Christians. I'm telling you, they're going to be beheaded. It's going to be a horrible time. And we've already talked about that later, but that's what that's talking about. But back to this symbolism known as Babylon the Great. The original city of Babylon, it actually came from a man in the Old Testament named Nimrod. And he instructed his people to build a grand city and a tower that goes into heaven. And we see this in Genesis 11:4. This is what the people were saying. "Come, let us build ourselves a city and a tower whose top is in the heavens. Let us make a name for ourselves." So you got these people, and this ain't very far. This is in Genesis. Genesis telling the story of mankind. They decide we're going to build a tower, and we're going to get the tower to reach into heaven. It's like we're reaching to God now. And then we see, let us make a name for ourselves. All right. The whole Bible is talking about how God does everything. We are absolutely nothing without God. We would not exist without God. That's why the Bible talks about He gets all the glory. That's why this works mentality in the church today is messed up. It ain't got nothing to do with us. It's about the works of Jesus and what Jesus has done. We rest in Jesus and His works, the fruits of the Spirit. He is the Holy Spirit. His Spirit works through us. It ain't about us working to be Christians, because our works are filthy rags. They're nothing. And right here, this is the mentality, hey, it's all about us. We're making a name for ourselves. We're reaching the heavens. It's not giving God any glory whatsoever. And that's what a lot of people in our world are doing today. A lot of people right now, it's all about, look what people's done. People look at New York and Chicago and they're like, man, look what man's done here. Well, the truth is, God did that through man. Man couldn't have done any of that if God didn't put it in there. I've been getting tickled, which it may be very wrong of me, but I love these sports are getting shut down, because you are seeing people go crazy right now because they can't watch some football game and all this stuff on TV. Sports is all about what man can do. Now, there are some Christians saying God gave this, but we got so many people worshiping what a human being can do. And the Bible says we're not supposed to worship the creation, we are to worship the Creator. And this right here was the start of worshiping man. And even building the towers to the heaven, that was the start of astrology and getting stuff from the universe. That's really what was happening here. Now the cool thing is, God, if you keep reading here, God sees this. The next verse says, God in heaven, He's up there, says He looks down on them, because they can't reach it no matter how high a tower you can make. And He goes, I'm going to go down there and see what they're doing. Well, He goes down there and sees them. He says, you know what? I see what you're doing. You ain't giving me no glory. It's all about you. How about I just confuse your languages and spread you around the world? And that's what He does. And this becomes known as the Tower of Babel. The city of Babylon ultimately came from this. And when you babble, it's just confusion. It don't make no sense. And any talk of anybody being greater than God, which the Antichrist is talking, that's idle babble. It don't make a lick of sense. These religions that say Jesus is like Muhammad and he's just a man, they're wrong. That's idle babble. It's confusion. It don't make sense. This talk, you see this on TV all the time about the universe gave me this and the universe did this for me. I cannot stand it. The universe didn't do nothing for you. God did. God created the universe. But this all ultimately goes back to the Tower of Babel. And as it went, Babylon was made, but it's from this type of mentality that we are something. Think about the Antichrist. He's going in there and he's telling people to worship him. He's not God. He ain't even close. You're fixing to see Jesus is going to speak and they're gone. But he's telling people to worship him. So we see this is going to be a time when it's just full on and everybody's drunk with it. It's drunk with do what you want, be what you want. It's all about man. It's all about the Antichrist. You know, nothing matters. God is stupid. Forget it. And right now, there's people talking like that, but there's still enough Christians today to stop it. But when we're raptured, it's just full-on craziness that 7 years. And people get saved, like I said, they're not going to be able to speak their mind because they're going to be gone, except for the servants God has going for them. But anyways, let's jump back to it. The last thing we saw said that John marveled with great amazement. Now, he's seeing symbolism here. He's actually seeing a woman riding on some red beast. I believe that's what he was seeing. And he marveled in amazement when he saw it. Revelation 17:7. But the angel said to me, why did you marvel? I will tell you the mystery of the woman and of the beast that carries her, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. So we're fixing to see what all of it means. The beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life and the foundation of the world, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. All right. The beast. Excuse me. The beast is the Antichrist. We have already talked about it. When it says, the beast that you saw was and is not, and will ascend out of the bottomless pit and go to perdition. He receives a mortal wound. We've already talked about that. He's killed. Yet he comes back to life. You saw him, he was, he is not, then he comes back at ascending out of the bottomless pit. He is copying Jesus. Alright? And those who dwell on the earth will marvel, whose names are not written in the book of life, when they see the beast that was and is not and yet is. When they see him come back from the dead, they're going to worship him like crazy. Right now, we are telling people to worship a God who came back from the dead, and they call us crazy. Many people do. When they see this happen, though, they're going to forget Jesus did it. They're going to forget what people taught them, and they're going to worship the beast. Because it's the same picture. He's trying to be like Jesus. All right? Verse 9 says, here is the mind which has wisdom. These 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. These are also 7 kings. 5 have fallen, 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he must continue a short time. The beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7, and is going to perdition. All right, lots of symbolism and craziness here. Before I start going over the two theories on this, nobody can tell you for certain what is happening here. I do believe the Holy Spirit shows us stuff, and you can know in the Spirit, but this is prophecy, and you really ain't going to understand it till it comes. And Revelation says don't add or remove anything from this book, or you ain't going to make it to heaven. So I want to make sure to let you know something. What I'm fixing to talk about, it is not a fact. It's just an educated guess. You can believe it or you don't have to believe it. But we see the 7 heads were 7 mountains on which the woman sits. There's 2 theories to these 7 mountains that I've heard has made a lot of sense. One of them is, if this empire does rise up in Rome, in Rome, it sits on 7 hills. There's 7 major hills in Rome, and they all got Roman names. I ain't even going to try to do them. And if he's ruling from Rome, some people think this empire is sitting on those 7 hills. Actually, each of those hills represent different things, and the Pope comes from one of those main hills. It's all different districts. And I've even heard that the future Antichrist could very well be one of the future popes. Now, I do not know if that's real or not. That's just something I've heard. Now, another theory I heard, and this one makes more sense to me and what John was talking about. Some people believe the 7 mountains she was sitting on were the peoples, and they were 7 world empires that actually developed from the Tower of Babel. The first one was Egypt. And we talked about this earlier because it says the Antichrist kingdom would be like these empires. Do y'all remember when we talked about those different cities? One of them was Egypt. And again, Egypt mirrors the Antichrist kingdom a lot. The Pharaoh said he was God, everybody had to worship him, and he persecuted God's people. Moses comes in there and God puts the plagues on him. Same stuff's going to happen to him. So we see Egypt as a picture of Babylon. It went against God. All right, then you had the Assyrians come in. The Assyrians was another empire that was completely against God. That's 2 of these empires. Then you have the Medo-Persians. We talked about the Persians because the Antichrist kingdom is going to be like the Persian Empire as well. Then you got Greece who came in and whooped the Medo-Persians. We talked about that. The Antichrist Empire, it said, was going to be like the Persians. All right. Then you had Rome. That is the one, let me see here, right here. I'm getting it lost. 5 has fallen. Rome, 5 has fallen, which we just went over. 1 is, when John was alive, the Roman Empire was still in power. He would be the 1 is. And the other has yet to come. That's the Antichrist kingdom. That would be the 7th kingdom. That's the one that's to come in the tribulation period. I think that one makes more sense. And then we see right here, and when he comes, when the Antichrist comes, he must continue a short time. And he's going to get murdered. Somebody's going to kill him. Somehow, I don't know, he's going to get assassinated or something. He may fall down and break his neck. I don't know what's going to happen. He's going to die. And the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th. That shows he was the 7th. He died. He comes back. And now he's the 8th ruler. That's what that's talking about there. And that's why it says, and is of the 7. He was over the 7th kingdom. He was the 7th emperor or whatever he's going to be, ruler. He's going to die. He's coming back to life. He's the 8th ruler. It's kind of weird. It's like he's dead and it just started over. But then we see it don't matter if he came back to life or not. He's going to perdition. So no matter how we understand this, this is what I want you to know. This is what we can bank on. We know the Antichrist coming. We know he's going to die. He's coming back to life. And he's going to be the 7th and 8th ruler of his kingdom. And then he's going to the fiery lake. His reign will not last. That's what we need to take away from 17 right here. Because a lot of people break this stuff down and they'll fight over all this. I don't really care what happens. All I know is he loses. And as a believer, that's the main thing. We win in the end. But that's kind of what it talks about there, y'all. Does that make sense on those 2 theories kind of a little bit? All right. Let's keep rolling here. Verse 12. The 10 horns which you saw are 10 kings who have received no kingdom as yet, but they receive authority for 1 hour as kings with the beast. These are of one mind, and they will give their power and authority to the beast. We've talked about the 10 kings already. Remember earlier in Revelations, there's going to be 3 demon spirits that look like frogs. I believe that will be in the supernatural realm or the spiritual realm. We won't be able to see it. They're going to go gather these 10 kings. We saw the Euphrates River is going to dry up. They're going to draw these kings across that river with their army, and they're going to the valley of Megiddo, and that's where the battle of Armageddon is going to be. They have given their allegiance to the Antichrist. They're going to follow him for a short period of time, and they're going, well, you're going to see what they're going to do right here. These will make war with the Lamb, and the Lamb will overcome them, for he is the Lord of lords and King of kings, and those who are with him are called chosen and faithful. So these 10 kings and their armies are going to meet up with the Antichrist in the valley of at the battle of Armageddon to attack the Lamb, Jesus. And I love what it says. They ain't going to take him because Jesus is the Lord of lords and the King of kings, and we are with him. We are with Jesus. When we don't even do nothing, no. We just following him back, and we like, get him, Jesus. We watching you just tear him up. We're on the winning team, and we just sitting on the bench. We just rooting him on. We're the cheerleaders, which is a great thing because we don't want no part of it. So we see he's going to take him out. All right, then the angel said to John, the waters which you saw where the harlot sits are peoples, multitudes, nations, and tongues. So this empire sitting on the peoples, nations, multitudes, tongues, is showing this empire is running everything. And the 10 horns which you saw on the beast, these will hate the harlot, make her desolate and naked, eat her flesh, and burn her with fire. Now check this out. Those 10 kings, even though they joined the Antichrist, they hate his city. I guess they're jealous or something. They hate this empire he's brought up. And look what they're going to do. These 10 kings are the very ones who's going to destroy it. They're going to, even though they're fighting, they team up with the Antichrist, even though they go against Jesus, they're going to destroy this great city that he has built. And here's why. For God has put it into their hearts to fulfill his purpose, to be of one mind, and to give their kingdom to the beast until the words of God are fulfilled. And the woman whom you saw is that great city which reigns over the kings of the earth. The reason they're going to destroy it is because God puts it in their hearts to do it. God makes them. It reminds me of the Pharaoh. He said he continued to harden the Pharaoh's heart to show his power. The Pharaoh was going to do that whether he wanted to or not. These 10 kings are going to do this whether they want to or not, because God's going to make them. They are predestined to do that, and there's no stopping it because he's putting it in their heart. So we see God is using evil to whoop some evil right here and to destroy this kingdom, this symbolic Babylon. 18, which we're going to do real quick, it's not as intense. 18 is how the rest of the world sees this when they see the fall of this great city. It says, after these things I saw another angel coming down from heaven, having great authority, and the earth was illuminated with his glory. And he cried mightily with a loud voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, and has become a dwelling place of demons, a prison for every foul spirit, and a cage for every unclean and hated bird. So we're seeing here, all the gold has been removed, the pomp and circumstance has been removed, and we see what's left: demons, foul spirits, hated birds. I guess that's an evil spirit too, I ain't real sure. But it's just evil there. And I'm not going to lie, this reminds me of our government some. There's a lot of people in our government, they look rich, they look like they're wanting to do things for you, and ultimately it's like they have an unclean spirit in them. We keep seeing all this crazy stuff come out on a lot of these politicians. Not all of them are like that. Again, we haven't been raptured yet. There's still a lot of Christians fighting for the right thing and doing the right thing. But imagine when the Christians are raptured and the only things left is just evil people. Now, people are getting saved, but the majority is just evil. Well, when this city finally falls, because it looks like evil's winning here. The Christians are dying. They're being removed. They have this amazing city. The city's running the whole world. Everybody's trading with them. Everybody's getting rich. And then we see when it falls, it's nothing but demons. It's all built on evil. But we see that there. For all the nations have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. The kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth have become rich through the abundance of her luxury. All right, so we see here, All the kings of the earth. Now think of rulers. They used kings back then. All the rulers, whoever it is of the earth, they are committing fornication with her. They're doing whatever this major city. This is the epicenter of the world now. It's controlling everything. Everybody's following its lead. And then we see the merchants. All the merchants of the earth are getting rich through this city. It reminds me again of America today. This ain't talking about America, by the way. America, we ain't even talked about in the Bible, really. It don't even mention us. Something's going to happen to us. Either we're going to be gone or we're just going to be following their lead as well. But think about how many people get rich off of us. We're like one of the big epicenter. China's big too now with trading. But we trade with everybody. If something bad happened to us, it would really trade and the economy all over the place would fall. And we're about to see that here with the Antichrist kingdom. Said, I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, lest you share in her sins, and lest you receive of her plagues. For her sins have reached to heaven, and God has remembered her iniquities. Render to her just as she rendered to you, and repay her double according to her works. In the cup which she has mixed double for her. In the measure that she glorified herself and lived richly, I can't say that word very well, richly, in the same measure give her torment and sorrow, for she says in her heart, I sit as queen, and I am no widow, and will not see sorrow. We're going back to that Babylon mentality. I sit as queen. I will not see sorrow. It's all about me. Look what I did. Look at these riches. It's that same mentality. This is going to be the mentality that's going over the whole world. Again, we see a lot of it today because we're actually building up to this. There's a lot of people who don't have this mentality because when you accept Jesus, you're saying, this ain't got nothing to do with me anymore. I surrender to you. You are my life. You're doing these things. That don't mean we still don't get good things. That don't mean we still don't want stuff. It's just saying, though, if we get it, it's coming from you, God. I ain't doing nothing with my own hands. But it's going to go with this mentality. Look what I'm doing. And we saw from all them verses, he's fixing to repay doubly back on her. It's like, yeah, you fixing to pay. Therefore her plagues will come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she will be utterly burned with fire, for strong is the Lord God who judges her. The kings of the earth who committed fornication and live richly with her will weep and lament for her when they see the smoke of her burning, standing at a distance for fear of her torment, saying, Alas, alas, the great city Babylon, that mighty city, for in 1 hour your judgment has come. So all the rulers of the earth, they're looking back. They're seeing the smoke rise from her. I don't know, she may get hit by a nuke or something. Something's going to take it out. They're seeing it. They're distanced themselves from it. Again, it could be a nuclear, they don't want to be around it. They don't want to get sick. And they're saying, look what happened to this mighty city. Because they were doing everything and getting rich the same way everybody else with this city. Now they're thinking, now what? Who's fixing to step up? Verse 11. And the merchants of the earth will weep and mourn over her, for no one buys their merchandise anymore. And then it goes on and on, talking about all the stuff they traded with this great city. So now the merchants, they're weeping because they're like, well, how are we going to get rich anymore? Who are we going to trade with now? What's fixing to happen? And it just keeps going, and it talks about all the different things. The Bible's very detailed. It talks about all the stuff they're actually trading. Then you get back to 14. The fruit that your soul longed for has gone from you, and all the things which are rich and splendid have gone from you, and you shall find them no more at all. The merchants of these things who became rich by her will stand at a distance for fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen, purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour such great riches came to nothing. Every shipmaster, all who travel by ship, sailor, and as many as trade on the sea, stood at a distance, and cried out when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, What is like this great city? They threw dust on their heads and cried out, weeping and wailing, and saying, Alas, alas, that great city in which all who had ships on the sea became rich by her, for in 1 hour she's made desolate. So they have seen this city be destroyed, and now the whole world's mourning for her. Look what the Christians are doing. Rejoice over her, O heaven, and you holy apostles and prophets, for God has avenged you on her. We're going nuts in heaven. This is total victory. This Babylon is a picture of evil's empire on planet Earth throughout history. When this empire falls, this is it. Evil can never again reign on planet Earth. Jesus is fixing to set up shop on the planet and rule with an iron fist for 1,000 years. Nobody can start up evil again. Satan is chained in the abyss, and the Antichrist and the false prophets thrown in the fiery lake. There's nobody here to tempt everybody. Now, there are people who survived during the tribulation period. They're not in the city of heaven. We're in the city of heaven. Right now, as a believer, we have a perfect spirit. Our spirit is perfectly righteous. Ain't no sin in it. That's who you are. Your bodies has the sin nature in it, this flesh. It's eat up in sin. Now, as you behold the Holy Spirit is transforming you like Jesus, you're becoming more and more like Him. You're sinning less. You're becoming healthier, all that stuff we talked about earlier. But this has sin in it. It can't enter heaven. This is why we want to sin, because our bodies eat up with it. Even though our spirit being, it doesn't want to. That's why when we sin, we start feeling bad about it, because our spirit's saying, you shouldn't have done that. That ain't who you are. That's what it's doing. You have that battle. When we drop this body and get that new heavenly body, we will never sin again, because we'll never want to. It's not in us. We have a perfect nature and not a sin nature. Heaven's going to be that. Everybody in heaven is going to be perfect. You ain't going to unload all your garbage out in the middle of a Walmart parking lot like these people do today. You're going to walk your buggies back up and put them in the buggy rack. You ain't going to talk when you go to the movie theaters, because you know it's causing other people to have problems. It's going to be perfect. Everybody's going to be looking out for everybody else, and it's a world I honestly cannot wait for. It's going to be beautiful, because our world, I don't know if you've noticed, ours is becoming trashier and trashier. It's because evil's ruling right now. But when Jesus comes back, He said He's going to rule with an iron rod. You may be asking, why an iron rod? Because there's going to be people outside the city of heaven, they ain't Christians. But I'm going to tell you something, they going to do what Jesus says, and there ain't nothing they can do about it. They going to act right whether they want to or not, because Jesus is going to make them act right. And then there's going to be one final rebellion. Satan's going to be released from the pit, and that's when Jesus, He ends it. And He makes a new heaven and a new earth, and we ain't going to have to go through none of this anymore. But the city that's fixing to come down, that's going to trade with the rest of the world and going to make everybody prosperous and going to make the world perfect, where the lion is laying down with the lamb and the kids are playing with cobra snakes because they won't bite them anymore, that city's coming, and it's coming with Jesus. And it's coming right here. And when this Babylon falls, that's our victory. That's what we've been waiting on. He says right here, for God has avenged you on her. All the persecution of Christians throughout history. All this beheadings, even little things, even us, when we talk about God and people call us idiots, that's persecution. It's all going to be avenged right here on the kingdom of the Antichrist. Evil will be completely and totally destroyed right here. And now again, Satan is it. He's going to be chained up and he's going to be destroyed. But as far as evil taking hold of the planet, it'll never happen again. We're waiting on that day. And I know it's sad. We're seeing people die and get killed, but they're evil. They are fully drunk against God. Their minds are so screwed up, they're not coming to Him. We see people like that today. That's why as believers, Revelation should encourage us to tell people, you need Jesus. He's come to give you life. He doesn't want this to happen to you. If He wanted this to happen to Him, He'd have done ended it. The Bible said He is patient because He wants all to come to Him. He does not take delight in the death of evil. It tells that. But He is a good God. He's a just God. And if He doesn't punish evil, He's no good. But this is our ultimate victory right here. I'm going off track. Let me finish and we'll close. A couple more verses. Then a mighty angel took up a stone like a great millstone and threw it into the sea, saying, thus with violence the great city Babylon shall be thrown down and shall not be found any more. The sound of the harpists, musicians, flutists, trumpeters shall not be heard in you any more. No craftsman of any craft shall be found in you any more. And the sound of a millstone shall not be heard in you any more. The light of the lamp shall not shine in you any more. And the voice of the bridegroom and bride shall not be heard in you any more. For your merchants were the great men of the earth, for by your sorcery all the nations were deceived, and in her was found the blood of prophets and saints, and of all who were slain on the earth. So it's just ending saying, it's totally snuffed out. There's never going to be anything like this again. The next kingdom, again, it's going to be God's kingdom. And if you think that kingdom's going to be something special, if you think America is something cool right now, or you go to New York and Chicago, or I think Dubai, ain't that one of the major cities today? It ain't going to shine a candle on what the city of heaven's going to look like. I'm talking about when we're going to get into that before long. It's like the Emerald City from the Wizard of Oz on steroids. It is crazy how it describes this city we're going to live in. And everybody's going to be looking to it. And it says the gates will always be open. There's going to be no night there because Jesus is the light. We're going to have perfect bodies. We're never going to be tired again. Ain't no reason for us to go to sleep. It's going to be an amazing time. And as believers, we don't have to look forward to being punished and snuffed out with evil. We have eternity with our Father in heaven who loves us perfectly, and we're going to live forever with our loved ones. It's going to be a beautiful time. So if you're here today or you're watching on Facebook and you've never accepted Jesus, that's what He wants for you. He does not want all this craziness happening to you. He wants you to be part of His family and to live with Him forever. So if you've never done that, I just encourage you to do it. As we do our last song, you can talk to me here, or if you're on Facebook, just send me a message, and we need to get that straight. Y'all got anything to add to this one? It's kind of a long one, but it's good stuff.